Okay, so you've got questions about the BMW M1, right? This car, it's got a story, that's for sure. It's like, that band, the one everyone says should have been huge. Yeah, that's the M1 of the car world. We're going to take a deep dive into this whole thing, the how, the why, the wild production, the almost glory on the track. Buckle up.
Yeah, it's a wild ride for sure. The M1, it's this fascinating moment for BMW. They were ready to take on, the world of supercars.
I mean, we're talking, the 70s? Supercars back then were, the real deal.
Yeah.
Legends. So where'd this whole M1 thing even start?
Ambition, really. One guy, Yefim Nirpash, head honcho over at BMW's M division. Those are the folks who turn, your average BMW into something else entirely. But Jochen, he wanted more, something bigger. Group 5 racing. Picture it's the 70s. Group 5 racing is like the Wild West of motorsports. Crazy modified silhouette cars pushing everything to the limit.
Oh, yeah, those silhouette racers, basically.
Yeah.
Just enough of a regular car left to, call it one. So Nirpash, he wants to go up against the best, Porsche, the whole lot, but there's a problem, right?
Exactly. BMW, they're engineering geniuses, but mid-engine supercars, zero experience. And back then, if you wanted to race with the big dogs, mid-engined, that was the ticket.
Okay, so what do? You're BMW, you're used to figuring things out, but you need a crash course in mid-engine magic.
Yeah.
You call the Italians, obviously. And not just any Italians. We're talking Lamborghini. The name, the sound, those wedge-shaped supercars, pure 70s cool. Match made in heaven, right?
I think so, yeah. And Lamborghini, they brought in the big guns. Gianpaolo Dallara, the guy behind the Miura's chassis, legendary. And Giorgetto Giugiaro designed the Countach, need I say more. They even looked at BMW's own turbo concept car from 72. That thing was like something out of a movie, all futuristic and spaceship-like.
So you've got BMW wanting to prove themselves, Lamborghini's supercar magic, and this dash of 70s concept car. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds perfect, right? Well, here's where things take a turn. And I'm not talking about a slight detour. I'm talking full-on plot twist.
Because drama time. Rumors start flying about Lamborghini's finances, and it's not looking good. BMW, they get nervous. Understandably, right? They can't have this whole project go sideways because of, Lamborghini.
So, and I bet this really surprised Lamborghini, BMW pulls the plug. Imagine that. You're Lamborghini, you're lined up to build this incredible car, and then bam, BMW says, we're good, thanks. Ouch.
Yeah, that had to sting a bit. But for BMW, the real challenge was just starting. They've got a half-finished supercar and a logistical nightmare on their hands.
Okay, picture this. The M1's body, it's fiberglass, right? Mm-hmm. It's being made by a company called, get this, Trasformazione Italiana Rosina. Try saying that 3 times fast outside Modena, Italy. Then you've got the chassis that's being built by another Italian company, Marchesi, also near Modena. It's like they wanted to make this as complicated as possible.
It was a proper European road trip for these M1s. So the body and chassis are done. Then they're shipped off to Idle Design in Turin, another legend in the design world.
And Idle Design, they meant business. They had to bond the fiberglass body onto the chassis, make sure everything fit perfectly. Then they basically turned it into a real car. Interior, wiring, glass, everything. Wait, there's more.
This is where it gets really interesting. These almost finished M1s, they weren't done racking up the miles. They get shipped off again, this time to Bauer, a longtime BMW partner. Their job: install the engine and gearbox, the heart and soul of the M1.
It's like watching a gourmet chef add the final touches to some incredible dish, except instead of spices, it's a high-performance engine being dropped into this Italian masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, there's one last stop on this M1 World Tour.
Oh, yeah, because you can't have a high-performance BMW without a trip to BMW Motorsport in Munich. That's where the M1 got its final tuning, those little tweaks that make all the difference on the track. Honestly, the logistics of it all, across different companies, different countries, it's mind-boggling.
Seriously, it's amazing they built any M1s at all with that setup. But remember, this whole thing, it was all about Group 5 racing. And to race in Group 5, you gotta play by the rules.
And Group 5, they weren't messing around with their rules. To get on that track, BMW had to build a certain number of street-legal M1s. Many. 400. That's homologation for you, those race cars you see. They have to have some connection to the real world, something you or I could theoretically drive.
So the pressure's on, right? BMW, they've got this crazy production line spanning across Europe, and they need 400 M1s ready for the street. Do they make it?
They came so close it hurts. 399 road cars built, one short. They also made 56 race cars ready to dominate. But here's the kicker. Group 5, the whole reason for this crazy adventure, they went and changed the rules.
You're kidding. Serious?
Wish I was. They got rid of the silhouette formula that the M1 was built for, and they did it before the car was even ready to race. Talk about bad timing. Years of planning, this insane production process, all for a rule book that basically vanished.
It's like you train for the Olympics your whole life, you get there and they're like, psych, your sport's canceled.
So BMW's got this incredible car, born from ambition, built in a whirlwind of chaos, and no Group 5 to race in. What next? Well, BMW did what any car company with a garage full of practically brand new supercars would do. They found another way to let the M1 shine, and let me tell you, it was creative. But we'll get into that after a quick break.
Okay.
So BMW, they weren't going to let their supercar, this M1, just sit around, right? They did what any, ambitious car company would do. They started their own racing series. Just for the M1, the BMW M1 Pro Car Championship. Talk about making the best of bad situations.
Well, Pro Car Series, right. Okay, picture this.
Yeah.
You're at the track, everyone's excited, and here comes a whole grid of these M1 race cars. All identical, driven by, Formula One drivers, the best of the best.
Pure marketing genius, honestly. BMW, they got these Pro Car races added to the Formula One schedule, support races during Grand Prix weekends.
So they're showing off the M1 to, a global audience of racing fans. Smart move. And it wasn't just any F1 drivers they got, right? We're talking big names.
Oh, yeah, huge names. Niki Lauda, he was the F1 champ at the time. Nelson Piquet, who went on to win 3 championships himself. These guys were at the top of their game, all racing these identical M1s. The skill, the intensity, it must have been something else.
Can't even imagine. But this Pro Car Series, it wasn't just for show, was it? These guys could really race, and they pushed the M1 hard.
Absolutely, and they proved what the car could do. Lauda won the championship in 79, then Piquet in 80. The M1 was making a name for itself, and these were the best drivers in the world behind the wheel.
So, okay, no Group 5 glory, but the M1, it found its place in the Pro Car Series. But that's not the end of the racing story, is it?
Oh, not even close. This car, it also made waves over in the U.S. in their racing scene.
Right, taking on American muscle on its home turf. How'd it do?
Dominated, basically. 1981, the M1 enters the IMSA GTO Championship. Driver was Dave Cowart, and he won 12 out of 16 races that season.
12 out of 16. Seriously, that's incredible. And I'm not even a huge racing fan, but you don't win that much, especially not against American sports cars, unless you've got something special. It's like showing up to, a rap battle and winning with opera.
Mm-hmm.
Totally unexpected. Okay, so we've talked about the M1's crazy birth, its racing career, which had its ups and downs, but I think it's time we talk about what's under the hood.
The engine. This is where the M1 gets really interesting. See, back then, supercars, they were all about big V8s, V12s, the kings of power. But BMW, they went a different route. They put an inline 6 in it.
And I know what you're thinking. An inline 6 in a supercar. Seems a little, ordinary. But trust me, this wasn't your average 6-cylinder. This was the M88.
The M88, it was a game changer, honestly. A masterpiece of German engineering. It made people rethink what a performance engine could be.
So what was so special about this inline 6? Give us the details.
Okay, so it had double overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder. That means it could breathe, it could rev high, 3.5 liters, and get this Kugelfischer-Bosch mechanical fuel injection, no computers involved, pure mechanical magic. And the sound, like nothing else. This high-pitched, almost exotic scream gave you chills.
So not just powerful, but a whole experience, huh?
Exactly. But let's talk numbers. This thing, naturally aspirated, put out 277 horsepower.
Which, might not sound like much compared to today's cars, but the M1, it was light. We're talking under 3,000 pounds. That's lighter than some, new economy cars.
Right. So that power-to-weight ratio, that's the key. The M1 could do 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds, top speed of 160 miles per hour. Back in the late 70s, that was moving. Could take on any Ferrari or Lamborghini.
This inline 6, it was punching above its weight class.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about those turbocharged race versions they used in competition, right?
Oh, man, those were something else. They took that M88 and went all out, over 850 horsepower, more than 3 times the street car. It shows you what that engine could handle, how much potential it had. Built for performance, plain and simple.
Okay, so the M1's engine, that's one thing, but a great supercar is more than just the engine, right? It's how everything works together.
You got it. Balance, agility, that feeling of connection between you and the car. The M1 had it all.
So what made it so great to drive besides that engine?
Well, BMW, they didn't just throw a big engine into a pretty car and hope for the best. They really engineered the M1 to handle. I'm talking sophisticated suspension, unequal length wishbones, front and rear. 4-wheel disc brakes, those were powerful. Anti-roll bars to keep it, glued to the road in the corners. They thought of everything. And because that engine was in the middle, the weight distribution was perfect, or close to it.
Okay, I'm following the engineering talk, but for those of us who aren't race car drivers, what's it mean? What's it like to actually drive this thing?
Okay, so imagine this. You're behind the wheel, right? You can feel everything, the engine's singing, you take a corner. The car, it just responds smoothly, precisely, like it knows what you're thinking.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about power with the M1, it was about, like, finesse. That connection between the car and the driver. It's no wonder this thing did so well on the track.
So it sounds like they got it right. Looks, power, handling, everything. But there's still this what if feeling about the M1, isn't there? It won races, it turned heads, but it still feels like, I don't know, a missed opportunity. What's missing from the story?
It is kind of a head scratcher, yeah. The M1, it definitely has this what if thing going on. Like, what if Lamborghini hadn't had those money problems? What if BMW had stuck with their original plan? Would it have changed everything? Would the production have been smoother? It makes you wonder.
And what if Group 5 hadn't changed their rules right at the worst possible time? They built this car specifically for that, and then nothing. A huge letdown.
Exactly. Imagine how the M1 would have done against its rivals if it had actually raced in Group 5. Would it be a legend now? We'll never know. But there's something else. Besides the racing, the price tag.
Ah, right. Because even if you love cars, you got to be at least a little bit practical.
For sure. And that's the thing. That complicated production process, all those different companies, it cost a lot of money.
And that means?
The M1 was expensive. Really expensive.
How expensive are we talking?
More expensive than a Lamborghini Countach.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah.
They were more expensive than the car they originally hired Lamborghini to help build. That's got to be awkward. I mean, wow, talk about bold.
It's kind of funny when you think about it. And that price, along with the limited numbers they built, well, it meant the M1 wasn't exactly a common sight on the roads. It did well on the track, but it never really took off as, like, a popular supercar.
So now it's this car that collectors love, right? A symbol of a certain time, a certain kind of car. It has that mystique, that what could have been feeling. Like, I don't know, seeing a rare bird in a museum. You know it exists, but you'll probably never see it flying around in the wild.
Perfect analogy. And maybe that's what makes it so special. It's this time capsule, you know, BMW at a crossroads. They were willing to take risks, to do something different, to really create something amazing.
It shows you that the best stories aren't always the ones with the perfect ending. Sometimes it's the ones that, I don't know, didn't go as planned, the ones with surprises that are the most interesting.
Definitely. The M1, it makes you think, it makes you wonder what if, and that's a pretty amazing thing for a car to do.
Couldn't agree more. So there you have it, the BMW M1. A supercar that almost wasn't. It came from ambition, it dealt with production nightmares, and it made its mark on racing, even if it wasn't the mark everyone expected. And hey, maybe somewhere out there, someone has that 400th M1 tucked away, just waiting for the right time. Until then, we can all dream about what might have been.